joining us now on this India Today special broadcast, Ambassador Ashok Sajjanhar and Dr. Tara Kartha. They've been with us through our coverage. And Dr. Tara Kartha, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi says that India is not neutral, India is on the side of peace, is that a signal to Russia? Is that a signal to Europe? Or is that a signal to the United States of America, in your view?
Yeah, I think that's wonderful language. Somebody's crafted that extremely well because for us, the thing is, peace is not some vague, sort of moral issue. It is something we need to take Russian ties forward. You cannot, this whole idea we have of increasing our trade with Russia from the 2% that it is now of Russian total imports, you need to have stability there. If you need equipment from Russia, you need stability. If you need investment from Russia, you need stability. So peace is not just some vague, moral, it's also a moral issue. It's not that because this has to stop. And we are never in favor of war. But it also has some very practical implications for us to go forward. I mean, the whole idea we have of getting this whole, like we said last time, of getting that huge amount of rupees which Russia is holding, if you want to take that forward with private investors involved, you can't do any of that till this war comes to an end. So you get my point. It's a very practical way to go forward, and also to get the rest of the S-300s, which we're talking of. They cannot give it to you until they get their own house in order.
Yeah.
Fair point. So India's interest there. Ambassador Sajjanhar, do you want to come in and reflect for a moment? Because a lot has been said, and correctly so, that this is a difficult tightrope diplomatic walk where India is concerned, especially in the geopolitical context of the day. And the kind of messaging right before a crucial bilateral by the Prime Minister, where he speaks of neutrality, that India is not neutral, India stands on the side of peace, is also messaging to certain countries that would be watching very closely, because while we want to cement and bolster our friendship with Russia, who's been our longest standing ally, we would want, to once again keep our diplomatic channels robust with the European nations. We would want our diplomatic channels to be robust with America. We are going to be hosting European nations, even as our guests of honor on 26 January. We are going to get a delegation where we are going to be talking trade from the US in just about 2 weeks from now, where we are hoping that 50% comes down to 15%. So it's very important in, diplomacy where optics and messaging are concerned. And the Prime Minister doing exactly that, seemingly keeping everyone, at least till now, happy.
No, absolutely. You're very right, Preeti, and thank you for having me on the show. You're very right. I think this messaging, to the question that Gaurav had also asked, this messaging is very much to the whole world. It's not limited, to one or the other country, because it is the whole world that has suffered as a result of this conflict. It is not only, India is far removed. Of course, India and Russia bilateral ties have been affected adversely as a result of this conflict. And, to take them forward, of course, we need peace. But the whole world has been impacted, whether it is food grains, whether it is increase in price of oil, and it is the global south that has suffered the most. So the messaging is, very for the whole world. And this is a position, Preeti, that India has maintained right from the word go. When the whole world, particularly the West, was really looking at, saying that all these sanctions are going to have such an impact on Russia that it will really be forced to come down on its knees. At that time, in September 22, Prime Minister Modi had told Mr. Putin that this is not an era of war and we need to go back to the era of dialogue and diplomacy. And you look at it, about 4 years from then, we are now talking dialogue and diplomacy. So I think this is a message to the whole world. Secondly, it's a message definitely to the United States, because United States wants to coerce and pressure India not to strengthen its partnership with Russia. And we have sent out a very strong message that our foreign policy choices will not be dictated by any foreign power. Our foreign policy choices will be determined by us on the basis of our national interest. The message is also to China, because
Okay,
China is
give me a
looking at.
moment, Ambassador. These are live images that are coming in from Hyderabad House. In just a few moments from now, we will have that joint statement by the Prime Minister of India and the President of Russia. In these images, you look at Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal in conversation with Dmitry Peskov, spokesperson for Kremlin, someone who's considered very, very close to President Putin. They're having a dialogue. Again, right now, Piyush Goyal is very crucial, Preeti, that
Right.
conversation that is happening even with the United States of America on the trade deal. And Ambassador Tara Karta, if I may just snatch 30 seconds before we dip into those the audio that's coming in from there, do you think any improvement of ties with Russia, whether it's trade, whether it's fuel, whether it's pharmaceuticals, will depend on Russia-Ukraine conflict ending and those additional 25% tariffs being removed?
Recording in progress.
Forget Russia has a bunch of tariffs themselves. And that is what Piyush Goyal has been talking about, to get that removed. Will it affect the Ukrainian war? Yes, because we have ties with Ukraine also. In terms of some of your engines come from Ukraine. So,
Yes.
will this deal depend on the war ending? No. What we are doing today is for the future. It is something which are looking forward, in
Right.
terms of that very, very urgent need to get our investments up. I mean, our exports up to Russia. So I'll stop there. I think you're going into this thing, but I think you just need to focus on this. There is a definite, I mean, the whole world is watching. You actually had a pretty good statement from China saying we welcome the fact that the two countries are standing together. So things are changing very fast, Gaurav. So there's a
Yes.
lot riding on this, a lot.
You're right. There are a lot riding on this, and we're going to just, once again, just for the scale of what all is riding on it, just look at it. It's a packed Hyderabad house this afternoon, Gaurav. Any moment, we're going to get a joint statement as well. You can see a lot of delegates, a lot of embassy staff, a lot of journalists who are waiting, to hear in on what are the nitty-gritties that were discussed on the table. Mind you, one thing is very clear. These are treacherous political times and diplomatic times for both Russia and India. 4 years ago, possibly at the same time, Gaurav, we had President Putin come into India in very, very different geopolitical circumstances. The world order looked very, very different then.
In
It looks very,
2021.
very different today. Let's also quickly, welcome Niranjan Marjani, foreign affairs expert, who are joining us live. As we keep a keen eye, we're going to cut across to our editors on ground at the Hyderabad House to get us on what really is taking place backstage, all the inside information. But what you can see right now is diplomatic mingling. You have Piyush Goyal there, our cabinet minister, speaking with the close aides of President Putin. So all eyes at Hyderabad House. We're going to keep that window open, keep cutting across, getting you the latest. But Niranjan Marjani, for you coming in, what's your reading of this situation? What do you expect? What will be the core issues where India will push through? It's a tight diplomatic walk for India. We've scaled down on our buys where oil is concerned. Russia would be pushing forth that we buy more. This all happens at the back of the American delegation coming in, where we are hoping our tariffs will go down from 50% to 15%. So a lot riding on it. There's defense, there's trade, there's labor, there's lots going on.
Yes, of course, there is a lot riding on President Putin's visit to India. And of course, we can expect several agreements in sectors like defense, trade, agriculture, also buying Russian oil. But what I believe that when we compare India-Russia relations to that of India's ties with America, or for that matter, with the Western countries, then we need to understand that there is all this talk of multilateralism going. But even, before President Putin's visit, or even when there were no, it took 4 years for Putin to visit India, but even in between, I think India and Russia have been engaging with
Fair
each
point.
other, and I would like to
Mr. Marjani, would
highlight
you think,
one. Yeah,
would you think that the
yes.
underlying message between, these two countries meeting in the manner that they have met, is also that neither would be cowed down by US pressure. While we are courting, America, we are going to be, we are talking to them, we are hoping that the sanctions of 50% trade tariffs come down to 15%. But if there is one underlying messaging through the optics of it, one of them is very strongly that we are not going to be cowered down by the US anymore, either sides.
Definitely, both sides would not to be covered down by the US, and I think both sides are practicing this approach in their bilateral relations as well as in their ties with other countries, and as far as their interests are concerned. And if I would like to finish my point, what I was mentioning earlier, I think India and Russia, I think we focus mostly on their bilateral ties and what implications it might have on India's ties with the US, but also that I think Russia is a very important partner for India as far as connectivity initiatives are concerned, and particularly in Central Asia and Eurasia. And this is one area where both the sides have been collaborating. Both the sides have been working together closely with each other for a long time. So I think
Okay.
India-Russia ties, I mean, they go mere beyond, signaling to US or the West, and I think they both have like their interests at
Do we
bilateral
actually see a
level
new
as
world
well
order
as at
emerge